Today, we're digging into a framework that completely flips the script on the Project Management Office, or the PMO. We're going to talk about how you can shift your PMO from something that feels like a cost center into what it's really meant to be, an absolute, indispensable value engine for your organization.
So let's just jump right in with a big question, the one that might keep you up at night. Is your PMO a genuine strategic asset, or is it just seen as overhead? It's a tough question, but being honest about the answer is really the only way to start making a real change.
So what's the secret sauce? What's the one thing that separates a PMO that just gets by from one that's a total powerhouse? Well, it all comes down to a huge shift in your thinking. It's about moving away from just checking boxes and executing projects and becoming obsessed with delivering real, tangible customer value.
And that customer-first mindset is what fuels the entire framework we're looking at today, the PMO customer experience cycle. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a whole new operating system for your PMO, one that puts your customers, your real customers, right at the heart of every single thing you do. Okay, so this whole journey breaks down into 5 distinct but totally connected stages. We start with exploration, then move to design, followed by deployment, then enhancement, and we wrap it all up with realization. Let's walk through each one, because you'll see how they really build on each other to create this incredibly powerful cycle. All right, first up, exploration. Think of this as your detective phase. You can't just sit in your office and guess what people need. You have to get out there. You have to understand what's really going on. And this isn't just about sending out a survey. It's about building real relationships, uncovering those hidden needs, the things people don't even know how to ask for, and building a foundation of trust. That trust is going to be absolutely critical for everything that comes next. So once you have all those amazing insights from your exploration, you move into the design stage. This is where all that understanding turns into a real strategy. See, it's not enough to just know the problems, you have to actually build the solutions. This is where you craft a killer value proposition and create a set of services that directly attacks the pain points you found. This is literally the blueprint for your value engine.
And now we hit deployment. This is where the rubber meets the road, where your blueprint starts to become a reality. But here's the thing, this isn't just about flipping a switch on some new software. The part that really makes or breaks this stage is the people. Your success here is all about how well you manage change, how you onboard your customers, and how you guide them through these new ways of working. This is where your impact starts to feel real.
Now, a value engine can't just sit there and rust, and that is the whole point of stage 4, enhancement. This is your continuous improvement loop. This is what keeps your PMO from becoming stale or irrelevant. You're not just launching services and walking away. No, you are constantly measuring performance, you're hungry for feedback, and you're always refining what you do. This is what keeps you agile and makes sure your value just keeps on growing.
And that brings us to the final stage, realization. This is where you prove it. You close the loop and you definitively answer that question from the beginning. Are we an asset or are we overhead? You're measuring the hard numbers, sure, but just as important, you're collecting the success stories and figuring out your customer's perception of value. This is how you turn raw data into a powerful story that cements the PMO's place as a strategic partner.
And this quote from the source material just nails it. When you get the realization stage right, you completely change the conversation. The PMO isn't on the defensive anymore, trying to justify its budget. It's on the offensive, proving its worth and being seen as a critical driver of success.
Okay, but listen up, because this right here is probably the most important idea in this entire framework. We've walked through these stages from 1 to 5, but this is not a straight line. It's not a project you finish and then you're done. The real magic, the real power, is that it's a cycle.
Just look at the difference here. A traditional process is rigid. It has a start, a middle, and a definitive end. But this cycle, it's dynamic, it's alive. The stages all overlap and feed into each other, creating this continuous loop. What you learn in realization feeds right back into a new round of exploration, kicking the whole thing off again. But this time you're smarter and your relationships are stronger.
I love this quote. It's not just a loop that goes around and around in the same place. It's a spiral of increasing value. It's like with every single turn of the cycle, your PMO levels up. It gets more mature, more effective, and more deeply connected to what the organization is trying to achieve.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Why should you and your PMO go on this journey? Let's boil down the benefits.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to these 4 game changers. 1, you get true strategic alignment. 2, you build way stronger, trust-based relationships. 3, you bake a culture of continuous improvement right into your PMO's DNA. And 4, the big one, you make your values something you can actually point to and prove, which changes the entire conversation from how much do you cost to look at the benefits you bring.
So, you've done it. By adopting this cycle, you've transformed your PMO into a genuine value engine. But here's a final thought to leave you with. Once that engine is up and running, how do you create unstoppable momentum? How do you build a self-reinforcing loop where success just naturally leads to more success? That's the next big question to tackle. Thanks for tuning in.